where he's living and stuff like that. So, not be small thing.
I understand.
It's not only him. Most of the Nigerians here, that's what they do. Nigerian guys. No, the brother, what they do, they'll send you to other companies to have that thing they want to do to me now. Go and have experience. Then when you have experience, they will now take you back to the brother's company. What you be doing for them, you will still be making hours and some months. If you don't calculate some months, they will send you to go to companies to go and work for those companies just for you to steal things that bring to them. Then after this pay, they pay you 50%. Then them themselves that did not take that risk to collect 60%. Then when they now catch you, be the one to take the fall. That's why I entirely like help that. Nana no get problem for this life. Do you know this girl called me? This girl called me few. It was last week now, not few. It was last week. Now please, she needs a loan from me. I was like, I don't understand. From who actually? Just like from me that she needs a loan. I was like, and I don't understand. Have you ever even called me and asked me how I'm coming over here? Blah, blah, blah. And you're calling me for a loan. Like, how do you expect someone that just left the company, like, just not even barely 2 months ago? She was like, yeah, that she understands.
Welcome again to the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Perhaps a good place to start will be this back and forth over the delineation of Warri Federal Constituency that has caused a challenge among the Ishekiris, Ijo, and Urhobos. Now, this time the Ogbe Ijo Kingdom in Warri South West local government area of Delta State are voicing strong opposition against the recent ward delineation exercise by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the reallocation of electoral wards. In a statement, press briefing in their community, their leaders described the proposal as unfair and urged INEC's national chairman to intervene, warning that continued neglect could lead to the shutdown of oil and gas infrastructure within their territory.
We totally reject INEC's proposal on the allocation of 19 registration area electoral wards in Warri Southwest local government area to the respective communities stroke kingdoms. The Ogbejo Kingdom, the highest population, landmark, and communities deserve 8 registration areas of electoral ward out of the 19 registration areas in Warri Southwest local government area, in line with INEC's guidelines criteria for the fresh delineation. We call on chairman of INEC to address this act of gross and wicked injustice against the Ogbejo people of Warri Southwest local government area of Delta State. If the injustice against us is not addressed, we will shut down oil and gas facilities in our communities if this grave injustice against us is not addressed.
That's still an ongoing issue because it looks like it's not going to end anytime soon as far as that issue of delineation is concerned. But away from that, let's tell you about the evidence provided by the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, denying his involvement with the government of General Sani Abacha, stating that he was co-opted along with others into the task force to decongest the ports. Mr. Obi says his first meeting with the former dictator was born out of a collective concern as traders and importers over the prolonged delays in clearing goods at the ports to find solution to issues affecting economic activities and livelihood. In a post on X, where attached the letter, he explains how it was advocacy for efficiency and to propose practical steps towards restoring normalcy in ports operation for the benefit of business community and the Nigerian economy. Well, I wish my producer could have put up that picture of the letter. Actually, there's yeah. So let's take a look. We are conscious. Initial reception across the country. You are what I'll call for a pass for an established communicator. So I'm happy you have alluded to the fact that it's almost difficult and challenging to be able to say what is different about this coalition.
My phone just keep dying. Like my battery don't stay long anymore.
Currently, what is going on is what I
The
consider
iPhone, two of them.
profiling of the persons within the coalition in that sense. So, first question again, what is different about this coalition? Because people are cynical. They've seen people come together like this. They saw them in 2014, which now became the APC. They've seen all kinds of aggregation at different times, and they said, okay, these are the same crop of people. What is different? So, what exactly is different, Mr. Abdullahi? And how do you intend to communicate that to the people of Nigeria, especially the young population?
What if you never had to prospect again? We'll do it for you. Introducing Lucia Playlists, a new personalized sales experience that runs your pipeline building and outreach on autopilot. Get AI recommended prospect mixes based on your ideal customer profile. Add your favorites to your personal playlists. Turn up the volume, choose the tempo, and go live. Get an endless stream of new tailored prospects. Automate your email outreach with Engage AI. We'll get you to the right leads at the right time, so you'll capture every business opportunity. Lucia, let opportunities flow.
Vous travaillez trop d'heures, vous courez partout et pourtant, votre entreprise dépend entièrement de vous. Est-ce que vous pensez que c'est vraiment ça, la liberté d'un entrepreneur? Si vous passez vos journées à éteindre des feux, faire le pompier et vos soirées à stresser pour votre activité, il est vraiment temps de prendre du recul. Mais comment sortir de ce cercle infernal? Imaginez une entreprise qui tourne sans vous, une équipe gérée par un directeur général ou un directeur de site, des revenus réguliers qui tombent sans que vous soyez.
Reform education and strengthen infrastructure for productivity and national competitiveness. And all this we worked on, believing that this is a great opportunity to do something differently. But it hasn't gone the way we expected because it does appear that the people involved had a different understanding or interpretation of what needed to be done. Now here we go again. So people will say, "Oh, it's the same thing." I mean, we've seen this before, like I said. But the actors are not going to be different because you are not going to be able to manufacture new politicians overnight. It's the same people who have been active in politics maybe since 1999 that are still going to be there. Maybe you see some young people who have managed to come into the arena. But as far as the Fourth Republic is concerned, it's going to be the same people. We are not going to manufacture new political class overnight. We are not going to bring foreigners to run Nigerian politics. Is the same people we are going to have. What is going to make the difference is, are you able to build a new framework that commits to doing things differently? And that is where the ADC is different. Are you going to build a political party that will ensure that elected officials on this platform are held accountable based on the promises we made to Nigerians? That's what will make the difference. We are conscious of the historic significance of what we are doing. We are aware that if we don't get it right this time, Nigerians may look, the already cynical young people will now give up completely on the possibility of progress for this country. So it's a huge challenge, it's a historical burden that we carry. And that is why we are saying that these were part of the people in the past. But we are building a new system, we are building a new framework that commits everyone to behaving in a particular way and understanding that it's probably the last chance that everybody has in terms of the ability to bring in young people, in terms of ability to convince everyone that we, the political class, can actually redeem itself and serve the purpose of what will improve the life and livelihood of Nigerians. Let me also the existential challenge that we confront today is probably unprecedented. And this is another important reason for us to do things differently. Because it doesn't matter. We used to have the very rich, the middle class, and the very poor. Now, the idea, the very notion of the middle class has disappeared. So it's either you are very rich, which is very infinitesimal, maybe less than 1%, or poor. And that's why we say the difference today is between the rich and the poor, the poorer and the poorest. So these are convictions that we have, and this is what is driving us. We know, like I said, the new system we're trying to build. Some of us are involved because we are convinced that this is possible, and we believe that the mandate we've set for ourselves, we are going to deliver on them. That's our conviction.
Mr. Abdullahi, if I go to the landmines already being spotted across all of this, I know that before the coalition was formally announced, some of the things that were touted as the effect that the persons that will be part of the coalition are working towards building a proper political party, not just a political platform. But they say old habits die hard. As soon as that was done, we've had interviews with a few persons who are part of the coalition, i.e. Rotimi Amechi. He's mentioned about presidential ambition one way or the other, whether implicitly or explicitly. Peter Obi has also done that. And of course, I think Atiku Abubakar on one hand. So people are saying that is even the albatross, the Achilles heel, the ambition of the persons involved, maybe the death of the coalition. What do you see about this old habit dying hard?
Well, I don't think I would see it as old habit dying hard. It's just politicians doing what politicians will do. Every politician has an ambition in one way or the other. But what is important is for the party to be able to impose its authority to regulate or modulate the ambitions of individual members. I mean, even in conceptual terms, that's what to aggregate interest, to ambitions and all that. So we don't have any problems with anybody coming to say, look, I want to be president, I want to be this or that. That's not the problem. The important thing is that we are able to build a party that is strong enough and able to impose on individual members. That is one. Two, build a party that is transparently just and gives opportunity to everyone. So once you are able to give opportunity to everyone, then you also increase your own authorization level and be able to discipline your membership to follow the rules. It's when you are not able to give equal opportunity to everyone, and our chairman emphasized this yesterday, or any of the aspirants think that the system is pre-rigged against him. That's when you lose your authorization as the party leadership. So we are clear about this, and we are determined we have learned lessons from what has happened in the past, if I can put it that way. We don't have any problems with people coming here or coming out to project their ambitions. In the end, it's the party that will have to impose its authority to ensure that everyone plays by the rules.
Mr. Abdullahi, let's come to the litigation issue already. It seems like early in the day, would you say that the coalition did its homework before adopting the ADC? So we see Adeyemi, Emmanuel Ayodeji, Victor Tulu, and Haruna Ismaila, three plaintiffs with you, Mr. Ralph, Senator David Mark, His Excellency Ralph Aregbesola, all as defendants in this case, and there were perhaps 7 questions for determination, and they sought their relief. And it bordered on the leadership, the membership, and all of this. Is this already causing some concern in the thinking of the coalition that have we walked into another murky waters?
Aujourd'hui, la majorité des gens n'ont aucune idée que le meilleur moyen de gagner sa vie, ce n'est pas le salariat, ce n'est pas l'immobilier, ce n'est pas le trading et ce n'est pas l'e-commerce. Au contraire, c'est une nouvelle compétence en plein essor maintenant plus que jamais et la plupart des salariés en reconversion peuvent faire ça à côté de leur job sans prendre de risques et petit à petit récupérer leur liberté. Ça ne demande qu'une simple connexion à Internet et un fichier Word. Moi, c'est Benoît et grâce à cette compétence liée à l'IA, j'ai pu quitter mon job que je détestais pour récupérer ma liberté. Comme Rodrigue, par exemple, le mois dernier, il a gagné l'équivalent d'un salaire mensuel d'un médecin, alors qu'avant, il se levait à 4 h du matin, il était toujours fatigué par son travail, il avait la pression et il n'avait jamais le temps de profiter avec sa femme et sa famille. Maintenant, il travaille 4 jours par semaine et en moyenne 4 heures par jour. Il gagne mieux sa vie, il a plus de temps pour lui, moins de pression physique et mentale. Comment je le sais? Parce que Rodrigue, c'est moi qui l'ai aidé à se reconvertir.
Je me dis qu'aujourd'hui, je bosse beaucoup moins, je suis tellement mieux mentalement, la charge mentale elle est moins importante, la charge physique elle est moins importante, et je gagne mieux ma vie.
Mais il n'est pas seul. Par exemple, tu as Lise, elle avait un très bon salaire, mais elle n'était pas passionnée par son travail. Elle avait aucune liberté et elle était toujours écrasée par la pression de ses managers. Maintenant, elle gagne sa vie depuis son ordinateur grâce à l'IA, sans pression et en ayant beaucoup de reconnaissance de la part de ses clients.
J'étais pas du tout passionnée par ce que je faisais. J'étais juste un numéro parmi d'autres dans un grand groupe.
Tu as aussi Thomas, il était ingénieur avec un bon poste, et le problème c'est qu'il faisait plus de 12 heures par jour avec une pression énorme, tout en étant comme un numéro dans une machine. Maintenant, il travaille depuis chez lui tranquillement, depuis son ordinateur, il est valorisé et il peut enfin profiter pour voyager où il veut, notamment en Italie où il a de la famille.
Quand le matin je me lève, je suis pas stressé. Avant je me sentais tous les jours bien quoi. Là je me lève le matin, je suis content, je vais travailler, bon je vais pas prendre la voiture déjà, donc ça c'est quand même un avantage très important.
Qu'est-ce que ces 3 personnes ont en commun? Eh bien, elles ont suivi une méthode prouvée, étape par étape, pour vivre de l'IA sur Internet. Si ça t'intéresse et que tu veux en savoir plus, je t'invite à cliquer sur le bouton sous cette vidéo, dans laquelle je t'offre une masterclass 100% offerte qui t'explique la méthode de A à Z. Donc, entre tes informations sur la prochaine page et tu auras immédiatement accès. C'est la même méthode que Rodrigue, Lise, Thomas et plus de 1500 personnes ont suivi pour se reconvertir et récupérer leur liberté. Personnellement, je gagne ma vie sur Internet comme ça, avec l'IA, ce qui me permet d'aider ma famille, d'avoir retrouvé de la liberté pour voyager et profiter de la vie parce que c'est ce que j'adore faire au quotidien. Ce qui est bien, c'est que tu n'as pas besoin de diplôme, d'expérience ou plein d'outils. Il suffit simplement de ton ordinateur, un clavier et c'est tout. Alors si tu veux découvrir comment Rodrigue, Lise, Thomas ont pu se reconvertir et retrouver leur liberté, clique sur le bouton sous cette vidéo et tu obtiendras immédiatement la masterclass. Clairement, tu sais déjà que le temps passe trop vite et je pense que tu ne vas pas te retrouver dans quelques années à regretter ton choix de ne pas avoir cliqué sur cette vidéo. Donc si tu vois cette vidéo maintenant, ce n'est pas un hasard, donc ne passe pas à côté et tu verras peut-être plus jamais cette annonce. Donc je t'invite vraiment à cliquer quelque part autour de cette vidéo pour obtenir la formation offerte avant qu'elle ne disparaisse et on se retrouve de l'autre côté.
Absolutely not. I mean, we are not bothered about this. You will expected all of this, and we took our time to do all that needed to be done in legal terms because we knew that the government that was capable of undermining a party like PDP, a government that could undermine other opposition political parties, is not likely to watch us to thrive unchallenged. So we expected all this. And the individuals you've mentioned, they are not known to the ADC. They are not in the register of in any of the states. So we are not bothered about this. We are focused on doing what we set out to do. These challenges will come, we will deal with it. But it's not going to deter us from asking the questions that we need to ask, which is this government, by omission or commission, has pursued policies, catastrophic policies, that have destroyed the livelihood of Nigerians and has led to a situation where Nigerians are beginning to ask themselves, what is in this for me? So that is the issue. And that's why we constantly say we are not going to be distracted by all this. we are going to talk about the headline inflation that's wiped out the livelihood of the people, the price of petrol, the price of food. That's what we want to talk about. And we want to be able to provide an alternative to say, this is what ADC will do differently. We are not going to pursue the policy that even IMF, that is the term, and we have a duty to rescue Nigerians from all this. That's the kind of conversation we want to have. All this pettiness, all these personal attacks, personal abuse, ADC as a matter of policy will not indulge in it. In legal terms, the issues I have to do with legal issues, we have competent people who are capable of dealing with that. So we're not concerned at all. We are clear about what we want to say, what we want to achieve.
All right, Mr. Abdullahi, indulge me for a moment to highlight some more, in your words, pertinence before we get to the issue of policy. Daniel Bwala, we had him a few days ago, he said this coalition will not last more than 6 months because of infighting. I had Mr. Sheikh Oshewumi yesterday. He dismissed this coalition in his own way. In fact, I asked him straight up, alluding to the fact that one of the key members of the coalition, Atiku Abubakar, is almost at the vanguard of causing this political instability whenever a southerner is in charge of government. Those were his allusion. I also watched a video today of the Senate Minority Leader, Abba Moro, saying that it looks more like a gang up, and this is not like what Nigeria should be all about. When you hear all of this, what's your immediate response before we talk about policy as much as we have time?
No, you see, for me, it's some kind of, if you remember when we started this, they say it's dead on arrival. Now, so it's some progress that they're even willing to give us 6 months, that we will last for 6 months. So we were not going to, but what do you expect them to say? What do you expect them to say? I mean, so don't let us dwell on this. I mean, individuals have the right to their opinion. That's why we think that it's democracy. Let everybody say what they like to say. So it's not a problem. We have to double down, continue to do what we need to do. We have a party to build, and we'll continue to build it.
All right, Mr. Abdullahi. So let's talk about this policy, because some of us who are journalists, and a space you're quite familiar with, we have been waiting for an alternative idea. Okay, let's use the economy, for instance. This government has taken a very strong neoliberal direction in its pursuits. It said when they came in, they were in debt and they were carrying wage bills that they couldn't cope with. They can't go the welfareist direction, even though the Constitution, according to Section 16, has talked about, seems to have nuances around welfareism in terms of principle of public policy, economic policy, I should say. They said, okay, let's take our subsidy in PMS, take our subsidy in electricity partly, and they also took our subsidy in FX. So that's where we have landed. So what exactly is the coalition going to be proposing? Are you going to go socialist, or are you going to modify this neoliberal approach? What exactly should we be looking at?
You see, thank you very much. You see, the problem with this government is they have an idea of what they would like to do, but it does appear that they don't know how to do it, and they don't know how to calibrate it. So when they set out with all the things that they are doing, what they're probably expecting is that Nigerians will clap for them, that they are strong, they are able to take the difficult decisions at the beginning. But when you remove fuel subsidy, and the net consequence of that is that pump price jumped from 190 naira to about 1,000 naira. That's about 500% increase overnight. That immediately constitutes a major challenge, and if not catastrophic effect on the livelihood of the people. Then before people get used to that, then you floated your naira, and naira jumps from 460 naira to $1,000 to $1 to 1,600 or thereabout to $1 overnight. A mixture of this at the same time, a mixture of this itself is it's unimaginable. Nobody does that. No country in the world will subject its people to a combination of this vicious policy attack at the same time. Now, what we are saying is that even the United States, that they don't, that's number one capitalist economy in the world. I'm not an economist, And I'm not saying that, they don't subsidize fuel, but they have subsidies along the value chain that ensure that the pump price is affordable to the people, maybe at the production stage or at the transportation stage or at the exploration stage. They have all kinds of subsidies that give to people in the industry that has a knock-on effect on the pump price and ensure that people don't find it impossible to buy petrol. But when we do this, we do copycat, but we don't know the intricacies involved. We did not envisage the challenges that will follow. We did not find any safety net. I was just looking at the IMF report yesterday or so. It's saying that, look, a combination of these policies without the necessary palliative or necessary safety net has thrown a lot of Nigerians, majority of Nigerians, into poverty and misery. And the effect of what they are doing is slow in coming, if visible at all. And we don't see any indication that government is doing anything to do a step change or to backtrack on what they are doing. Even if they argue that the reform they have introduced was necessary or was inevitable, they have proved incapable of delivering it in a manner that will deliver the dividends and the gains to Nigerian people. So what ADC is saying is that we are not going to be tied down by a label of whether we are neoliberal or we are liberal or we are socialist or we are welfarist. We are going to do what is right for the Nigerian people, because APC members don't have a different stations where they buy petrol. PDP members don't have a different station where they buy petrol. ADC members don't have a different station where they buy petrol. It is the same. We are all in this together. Nigerians are suffering from the misdirected and misguided policies of this administration. So we are going to do things differently, and whatever we do, the people will be at the center of the policy that ADC will pursue. Anything that is going to, any policy that we're going to pursue, the first question we are going to ask ourselves, how does it affect the people of Nigeria? How does it affect the livelihood of Nigerians? Is it going to make life better for Nigerians?
So, Mr. Abdullahi, just a moment.
So these are the questions.
Mr. Abdullahi, so there are only two, almost only two. It's almost like I don't want to call it a catch-22 situation or a false dilemma, but something close to that. It's either you subsidize or you don't subsidize. Which is what?
Notre équipe travaillait comme des pièces de puzzle séparées. Et Monday.com nous a simplement réunis pour nous permettre de ne rien perdre de vue. Avant Monday.com, nos équipes travaillaient sur différentes plateformes. On trouvait rien, on perdait des choses. Monday.com a résolu ces problèmes en nous réunissant tous sur un seul espace. Chaque partie de notre travail a maintenant sa place sur une plateforme qui est simple à utiliser. C'est-à-dire que chacun dans le service peut suivre les processus ou les projets. Et à tout moment, je peux compter sur Monday.com pour m'informer de ce que fait l'équipe et comment chaque partie progresse. Ça a rendu notre équipe plus rapide, plus agile. Nous sommes tout simplement plus efficaces.
Transformez votre passe-temps en votre plein temps. Votre style personnel en marque reconnue. Réussissez à votre façon avec Wix.
Well, it's not a question of whether you subsidize or you don't subsidize. It's a question of, one, how do you subsidize, right? So, and I just give you an example. Americans, you can't find anywhere that Americans subsidize fuel or gasoline, as they call it. But there are all kinds of subsidies that they introduce into the system along the value chain that has a knock-on effect. So that's an option. Now, what we have done is to remove subsidy. And we know how volatile that is in terms of the livelihood and dependency, how much our people depend on the price of petrol for their daily living. Majority of Nigerians have to depend on commercial transportation. We don't have public transportation system. We don't have railways. And those who have their own cars have to buy petrol. And the moment you introduce a policy that increases the price of petrol, it has a knock-on effect on almost every other thing. The woman selling vegetable in the market, the woman selling onions, the woman selling food. So everything become rapidly incremental. So these are the things. And the question, I don't think this government gave itself enough time to consider the implication. I think there was a mindset that we are going to come in, we are going to remove subsidy, and we are going to eat from the one during the honeymoon period, and the people know we are strong, we are determined, we are courageous. And this is the problem. They didn't give themselves enough time to think that this policy they are introducing, or a combination of this policy, is going to have the kind of catastrophic effect it has had on the livelihood of the people.
Mr. Abdullahi, quite a pleasure talking to you. I wish we had more time, but in the coming days, this conversation continues. And this is my my simple advice to the ADC. We need answers. We already see the problem. We have seen the direction of the Tinubu administration, and we've seen the cost of the social cost. So we'd like, answer some of which you have provided, but our broader issues as well around debt burden, around productivity, around export, there are plethora of things, even around restructuring. I'm sure that your team is putting all of that together, because those are the answers Nigerians are looking forward to know whether they have an option or not. Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi is the spokesperson of the ADC, former Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, an author and a great guy. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure always. Thank you.
Okay. Before we go, let's tell you that the Rivers State chapter of the National Youth Council of Nigeria has reiterated its non-partisan nature and support in the peace in the state. The state chapter of Chairman Sokorochi Uche, or rather Okbo, speaking during a management meeting in Port Harcourt, welcomed the ongoing peace process between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike. And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzon. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.
J'ai un tips pour toi et t'es absolument pas prêt. Tu n'as plus envie de galérer pendant ta recherche d'appart? J'ai la solution pour toi. Studapart, c'est une plateforme de réservation qui simplifie toutes les démarches de recherche et de création de dossiers. Et surtout, Studapart peut se porter garant pour toi. Et ouais, tu crées un dossier en une fois. Et ensuite, tu candidates à toutes les annonces que tu veux. Plus besoin d'envoyer 1000 dossiers partout. Ok, je te vois venir. Ouais, mais ces trucs, c'est jamais assez sécure. Sauf que Studapart vérifie 100% des annonces. Et en plus, t'es sûr de ne pas te faire ghoster. Avec Studapart, tu as une réponse sous 72 heures maximum. T'as capté? C'est plus facile de trouver le logement de ses rêves que son crush. Clique ici pour en savoir plus.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority and a due date to keep things on track. I create custom statuses to organize my progress exactly how I want it. I like to add the action items field so AI can show me the next steps. I have my teammates as watchers, so they're in the loop. ClickUp makes work easy, from personal projects to running a multi-billion-dollar company. Click the link below to create your workspace for free.
It's 23 degrees Celsius here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Mal Welby, Yusuf.
Well, I don't know whether to say it's better in Lagos, but it's 25 degrees here in Lagos, and for some it feels like 28 degrees. Good morning and welcome. I'm Ayo Makinde. Today is the 9th day in the month of July 2025, and there's that countdown to the Lagos elections, Marco, but maybe that's not the first thing we want to talk about this morning.
Well, quite a lot of things to talk about, Ayo, but certainly we're keeping tabs on what is happening with the Lagos State local government elections, which will be organized, excuse me, by the Lagos State Electoral Commission last year. Yesterday on a sister program, we had also followed up with the conversation that our colleague had with the last year chair, Justice Mobolaji Mobolanle Okikiolu Ihile, on some of the controversies, some of the areas of concern that had been raised by a an organization in the civic space, or two organizations, as a matter of fact, in the civic space, wondering if the Lagos State Electoral Commission was complying with the laid down rules and procedures for the conduct of local government elections. They also raised concerns about whether or not the LCDAs in Lagos, which have been a controversial, controversial sore point for some, as to whether or not they were covered by law. There were questions also as to the duration. According to our Electoral Act, as the country's Electoral Act, you're supposed to conduct elections at least 30 days prior to the expiration of local government chairmen, but it doesn't appear that these particular elections, which are going to be conducted in Lagos, appear to be complying with that. They have responded at the Lagos State Electoral Commission last year. They've responded to some of these concerns, saying that, especially with the duration, that they are not bound by the Electoral Act, they're not bound by laws, enacted by the National Assembly, that they also have laws guiding them. And they cited the Supreme Court judgment to corroborate their point. However, there are those who are saying that there has been a new pronouncement by the Supreme Court in the case of River State versus, some people had taken River State electoral body to court, and the Supreme Court had mentioned that they had to comply with the electoral laws, that's the Electoral Act. But we'll see how that pans out in the coming days, especially as the local government elections are the preparations for them are underway. So you Lagosians can tell us if you're aware that you're having local government elections and how prepared you are to take part in the elections which are slated for the 12th of July. But we'll wait and see, how that happens. But that's just one of the matters we're taking a look at this morning, Ayo. We also have the issue of JAMB, which has now set up cut-off marks for admission into the university, well, not just university, polytechnics, monotechnics, and I think colleges of education as well. Then also put to rest this controversial issue of the age that they will allow people write JAMB. Initially, it had been set at 18, which caused an uproar across certain parts of the country. But right now, the Minister of Education says, without any controversy, that it is now going to be 16. So we have a report for you on that one. We'll listen to it, and I guess we'll go to Ayo to introduce the guest this morning.
Councillors, education, and heads of polytechnics to the 2025 policy meeting in Abuja, and the Minister of Education is a special guest of honor. The business of the day includes a review of previous year's performances and challenges, the consideration of admission guidelines, and setting of the cutoff mark for the 2025 admission cycle.
As we begin the 2025 admission process, it is essential to recognize that JAMB is fully prepared to fulfill its statutory duties of overseeing the admission procedure to ensure that no qualified candidate is denied the opportunity of quality higher education.
However, before delving into the main business of the day, the Minister of Education announces the minimum age requirements for admission into tertiary institutions in Nigeria.
The age at entry into tertiary institutions has generated much debate, but our position is clear. The entry age for admission into tertiary institutions is now officially pegged at 16 years. This policy decision reflects a balance between cognitive maturity and academic preparedness. 16 is not negotiable. 16 years of age as admission, as the official age, is non-negotiable. Institutions are hereby directed to ensure strict compliance.
Honourable Minister, sir, we have proposals for 130, 150, 140.
Next is the consideration of cutoff marks for tertiary institutions, and the JAMB registrar leads the session.
Those who want 150 and 160, stand up, combine. 150 and 160. 150 and 160. Majority. thank you, 150. Now we are going to polytechnics. 150. Polytechnics.
I know the university 150.
Yeah. University 150.
The Minister of Education gives further clarifications on the resolutions reached.
For universities, minimum admission, when there's a cutoff point will be 150.
Yes, approved.
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 Yeah. For colleges of nursing, the cutoff point will be 140.
Approved.
Approved. For polytechnics, the cutoff point will be 100. Approved. For colleges of agric, the cutoff point will be 100. And colleges of education, the cutoff point will be 100.
As the meeting ends, tertiary institutions across the country can now fix their cutoff marks, considering the admission quota and vacancies in the faculties and departments, provided such benchmarks do not fall below the one set by this meeting.
Well, tracking the developing events for us this morning is Mr. Malaki Ogumadu, who is the former president of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm very surprised to see that the way we reach our cutoff mark is through some democratic process. I'm sure that, I don't know if you've witnessed it before, but clearly this is not a breach of human rights now, is it?
Well, it could lead to a breach of human rights if you find some measure of discrimination in the application of the rules, depending on who is concerned. However, I think that by and large it is a clear policy to, mainstream the objective of the council vis-a-vis the educational pursuits of the country. But my take on it is that I think quite a lot is going on in JAMB at the moment. Again, drawing from public participation, interest, and if you like, resentment, like the one we saw when the JAMB came out in the first place, that led to yet another cycle of examination. I'm not sure if I have heard about that in the past, but that is the power of the people in terms of showing concern, in terms of participating, in terms of showing the resentment of the people when they are not satisfied. That's why I take on this.
JAMB has come a long way now from, well, maybe not such a long way. We'll wait to see what eventually happens with the next JAMB exams, but clearly it does appear that there is an attempt to show how reaching some of these decisions in a more transparent and inclusive manner. Do you want to see more of this going forward?
Well, I think it fits into the preliminary statement that I made. Look, it's so much about the partnership that we build in this process. Granted that the board itself is driving the process, it's setting the pace, giving the parameters and the milestone expected to be met. However, those who are affected, in fact, if there are no students and parents, there won't be need for JAMB. So that balancing is what is expected to happen, that delicate balancing of the objective of JAMB and the interest of the students and prospective leaders of this country is what is important to drive this process towards a certain objective. But what is exciting to me is that we have watched this man, I'm talking of the registrar, and we have seen quite a determined, spirited public servant. One who is also is not impervious to the feelings and advice of the people. We have seen the enormous energy and interest that they have shown along the line of the concerns that the people have raised, talking about
Oh dear, it does appear that we've lost him temporarily. I'm sure that he'll be back shortly. But while we wait to get that connection back with Mr. Ugo Madu, Ayo, quite a number of other issues that we have right on the front burner. Yesterday, the news also broke that the ADC now has a legal hurdle, it will seem, to contend with, because members of the ADC, legacy members or members who have been in the party before now, had also gone to court to challenge this new interim leadership that has been imposed on them. So, or maybe they consider it an imposition, but that is what they are arguing in the court. I'm just wondering whether this has come as any surprise to our guest, Mr. Ogumadu. I think you're back now. It's good to see you back. We lost you temporarily. You're still talking about JAM, but right now we're trying to jump to this other issue of the ADC, which is also before us. Any surprises here for you?
Well, not so much of a surprise. If you understand the trajectory of these movements and developments within the political environment, it is most likely expected that something of this nature will occur. And there are two sides to it, which lends it to multiple interpretation. On the one hand, people who are existing members of ADC. ADC is an existing political party with structures, with membership and followership, even prospective membership. And so, in one breath, those of them who are already members see what is happening as a kind of hijack of their party. And to that extent, they have approached the court and then relying on some provisions of their constitution are saying that it is not possible that the man who is their chairman, who has superintended this process, will have the capacity and legal variance to do what he has done, considering again that even his tenure is being contested. And what they seek to do, in my view, is that, yes, we are members of this political party. It is not possible that a singular person could take such a fundamental decision on the party, for the party, without the full concurrence and participation of the existing members of the party. And I think to that extent, they approach the court, and you don't just go to court. Lawyers, the way we approach this situation is to be certain that you have sufficient course of action. In fact, if you lack those course of action or courses of action, you likely will just rush out, because you can make yourself vulnerable and expose yourself to what we call personal objections from the other side, who says that there is no reasonable course of action that has endured your favor enough to bring this suit. This is why you hear about court cases elongating, taking much more time than is necessary, because there are issues of preliminary issues to be dealt with, a lot of housekeeping to be concluded before the substantive matters are taken. So on that side, you could see what their position is. On the side of the proponents of this idea, the drivers of this process, their position is that every member of the executive council of the party, which is the driving organ of the party, relinquished their positions, resigned their position to pave way for what has just happened. So you could see that I think the best place to resolve the matter is actually the court, where the court will now be able to interpret against the backdrop of the constitution that they operate and the competing interest to see whether what has happened is proper or not. So no issues with the court. Not a surprise to me. In fact, I would imagine that there will be more, even from other angles, independent of what has just happened presently.
Well, just let our viewers know that we will be taking on more of the ADC issue much later in the program. But very quickly, before I let you go, this issue of the local government elections happening in Lagos State, where you currently are, I'm wondering if you're also following developments, civil society organizations raising objection with the time frame and also complain of a lack of inclusiveness. They think that the Lagos State government could be, beg your pardon, not the government now, the electoral body could be in breach of the time frame which it needs to conduct the elections. According to the Electoral Act, which stipulates for the area council elections here in Abuja, not later than 30 days before the expiration of the current tenure of the chairmen who are in office. Now, the Lagos State electoral body, we understand, has argued that they are not in breach, that the Electoral Act was specific to the area council elections and could not have been speaking about them. And they also cited a 2003 court judgment. However, from what we understand, it does appear that in a recent ruling, the Supreme Court told the Rivers State electoral body, that's their own RISIEC, that they had to comply with what was happening, or the stipulations in the Electoral Act with regards to the conduct of area council elections. I don't know if you've been following the developments. Are you aware, for instance, that local government elections are being conducted in Lagos, and how prepared would you say you are for them?
Oh, well, that is a notorious fact here in Lagos. Although buried in serious ambivalence, because even the point you are making, which you have carefully laid out, has been at the background of the developments as they appear here. What you have pointed out, by the way, the election is scheduled to be this Saturday. What you have laid out here are issues of facts, specific facts. It is whether the law under which the election is proposed to be conducted approves of the timeline within which the election is proposed to get for. So it does not admit so much debate. It is that from this Saturday to the end of the tenure of the existing local council administration, you have as much as the time allowed for the conduct of this election. The good news is that the chairperson of the State Electoral Commission here in Lagos is a retired judge of the State High Court, my Lord Justice Ihile. In fact, I was telling my wife that I did my chamber's attachment while she was the director of the Ministry of Justice those days, and also practiced before her as a judge. I say the good news is that she is a retired judge because issues relating to the position of the law would be fairly clear to my lord. You would see that Lagos has that tradition. Her predecessor was also a retired judge of the State High Court. And that is not to say that there cannot be some transgressions regarding to the issues before us, regarding the timelines. It is not conclusive that because she's a judge, so no, this is political terrain. And a lot of calculations may have gone into it. But by and large, what is important is that where the election is conducted in contravention of the extant law, then the exercise may have been in futility. Because, like you said, even the Rivers State case has thrown up a very interesting dimension to local elections in our country, where the initial position some of us had was that there wasn't any need for local elections or issues arising from local elections to go to federal high court for instance. Then the Supreme Court took the position that no, if the election affects or affected, as the case may be, citizens of this country, where the conduct of that election was also predicated partly on the acts of the National Assembly, then the Federal High Court can assume jurisdiction, and that altered the law somewhat. So, for now, those are the issues that have arisen from the process so far. But from all accounts and from all indications, it appears that the election will go on. There have been, remarkable campaigns and political activities here in Lagos, and it does appear that even the election management body is also poised to discharge the functions of their office within the limits of the law. What comes out of it is now, we now determine whether people will be dissatisfied or satisfied enough to accept it the way it came, or give them enough ground to be able to proceed either to the tribunal or to the court, as the case may be, to contest the propriety of what has happened.
Wait to see how events eventually unfold, but we have to thank you very much for coming on Sunrise early this morning and sharing your thoughts with us. Mr. Malaki Ogumadu is a human rights lawyer and a former president of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. Thank you once more.
So nice to see you again, since you ran away from Lagos.
Well, I always come around from time to time. But yes, we'll take a break at this point now, and we'll be back shortly to take a look at the matters arising, especially with the ADC and the Grand Coalition. In just a moment, please stay with us.
Well, as we have indicated to you, first of all, thank you so much for staying with us. We want to talk about this whole coalition stuff, what's happening in all of the political parties, the implications of the coalition on the platform of the ADC, its future, and as everything, tapers towards the 2027 general election. We have in the studio with us here Mr. Adeyemi Saka, who is a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. It's nice to be here.
And we also have with us, joining us virtually from Benue State, is Dr. Alex Adom-Ter, who is a former Attorney General in Benue State, as well as a member of the ADC. Thank you for joining us this morning, Dr. Adom. All right, well, let's begin with you. The first thing, what's your take? What side of the divide do you stand on this side, on this whole coalition matter? Are you for or against?
No, I'm in the middle. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Well, in any multi-party representative democracy, we need so there's need for us to have an opposition, no doubt. But is this a kind of opposition we need?
Don't we have opposition parties? We have the PDP, we have the Labour Party.
No,
they did very well during the 2023 elections.
PDP disappointed Nigerians more outside of power than while it was in power. PDP did not play the role of opposition, and the two voices that you could classify as opposition are silent today. It was Adele Fayose that started, and yes, we can pick it up. But sadly, if I can use that word, they are sympathetic to the cause of Mr. President. So where's the voice within PDP? Or where's the voice speaking for PDP? I have military incursion into our governance of affairs. It's always been a question of we want to get out of power, we want to propel into office.
We'll get into that, Mr. Sakabot. So you've spoken about the PDP. What maybe had its voice had tapered down over time, but then we've also heard the voice of the Labour Party.
Well, everybody acknowledged that what Peter Obi and Labour Party did in 2023 elections was remarkable, was unexpected. But has it consolidated on it? No. Will it build on it? I don't see that. I'm not God, but I don't see him doing that. Because where's Labour Party today? Labour Party could not handle the success that came its way. And everybody wants to now become the poster boy of Labour Party. Everybody now wants to control Labour Party. And Labour Party might go the way of PDP in Rivers before 2019, and might go the way of APC. So yeah, so there's no opposition in place as we speak.
Okay.
And the ADC, if I want to jump at that, is not an opposition. It's just a vehicle to wrestle power. It's not to oppose the government of the day. If you want to play opposition in a multi-party representative democracy, like you keep saying, you should give us alternative narratives, compelling narratives. It's not just about being emotional, just throwing, saying things.
That yet.
Nobody has spoken specifically to any matter or issues.
Okay, well, maybe Dr. Adam will make a difference. But Dr. Adam, again, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Are you for this coalition or against? Oh, dear. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, I can hear you.
Yes, it's a little better now. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay, what was your question?
The coalition. Are you for or against?
Yeah. I am definitely for the coalition. And the reason why I'm for the coalition is in any multi-party democracy, there must be an opposition to the incumbent political party or the incumbent government. There is no way democracy can thrive without an opposition. And like my co-panelist mentioned earlier, the two leading opposition political parties arising from the 2023 general election have been afflicted with a cancer that is not likely to abate anytime soon. And so leaders of political parties, civil society actors, students, activists, and well-meaning individuals decided to come together to form a coalition that will transform into a party. And that unveiling of the new political platform that we stand in for the opposition to the incumbent APC administration was unveiled on the 2nd of July, resulting into the adoption of the African Democratic Congress.
Okay, now, Dr. Adam, just a second, if you can hear. You said, rightly so, that it's a coalition that was looking for a vehicle to express itself, so to speak. So now that is done, question is, and the reason I asked you, I mean, it's clear that you're a member of the ADC. The reason I asked whether you were for or against is because some members of the ADC are not really in support of the coalition. That's the reason I asked, and you have made your own point clear. But this is not the first time that the ADC is being used as a vehicle for some kind of third force. In the build-up to the 2019 elections, the same thing happened. So what's going to make this difference?
You see, in every political organization or in every family, or any place where 2 or 3 people are gathered, there definitely cannot be a unanimous consensus of opinion about virtually everything. The people you mentioned who are dissatisfied with the infusion of the National Coalition movement into the ADC are perhaps afraid of some certain vested privileges and interests which may be overrun by the infusion of additional members into the ADC. But it is wrong for them to do that because the ADC constitution is open to all Nigerians from different walks of life.
It does not restrict anybody from joining the party. Even if the entire 240 million Nigerians decide to join the ADC, the Constitution welcomes them. And that's the ground norm. It doesn't belong to any particular individual. So there's nothing like exclusion in the ADC Constitution. And mind you, the process of the infusion of the National Coalition Movement into the ADC, it was properly done. Because every organization has decision-making structures. And in the ADC, like in every other political party, you have the National Working Committee, which is responsible for the day-to-day administration of the party. You have the National Executive Committee, which is vested with the executive powers, to make decisions on behalf of the party. Then you have the BOT, who are the trustees of the party, and then you have the National Convention. Now, the ADC Constitution does not have provision for a mid-term convention. It only provides for a convention, when there is a need to elect, leaders of the party or to elect representatives or candidates, for the political party to participate in a general election. So most of the powers that could have been done at the National Convention are delegated to the National Executive Council and are further delegated to the National Working Committee to carry out on behalf of the party. And the National Coalition partners followed all the due process. The National Executive Committee of the ADC passed all the relevant resolutions. The National Working Committee of the party also passed the relevant resolutions, and the BOT to admit in the new members. And so these members, by the ADC Constitution, the extant ADC Constitution today, no member, once you join today, you are entitled to all the privileges. So there is nobody who has better privileges in the ADC. There are no two classes of members in the ADC, whether you're a founding member or you are a joining member. Every member you are ground zero wants to join the political party. So I don't see the local standard or the grievances which they have against new persons coming into the party. So, like you said, this is not the first time that the ADC has been used as a platform by a national coalition. But this is different. In the previous arrangements, maybe a few individuals or one or two, not too significant political movements or political parties, perhaps adopted the ADC to use it for election. To the extent to which they were able to reach out to Nigerians to mobilize them into the ADC, I can't tell. But for now, I can tell you there is a groundswell of movement cutting across Labour, PDP, APC, and all manner of individuals who have come together. And that's why the momentum is different. I was a member of the PDP since 1998 when I joined, 1998 when I joined the PDP. And I have benefited from the PDP. I contested for the gubernatorial election in the PDP in Benue. I contested for the House of Reps election in the PDP in Benue. I was made Commissioner of the Benue State Executive Council twice. First as Commissioner for Commerce and Industries, and then I was made the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice. I was made the Group Managing Director of the Benue Investment and Property Company, all under the PDP. I've been a member of the PDP Presidential Council and all of that. But I've decided to resign my membership of the PDP because the PDP is no longer living up to its ideals. And I first joined the National Coalition Movement, and now I have registered for the ADC. And since I registered for the ADC, I'm entitled to all the privileges of the ADC. I can contest for any election in the ADC. I can contest for a party executive position and elected position in the ADC.
Just 1 second. And all of that is understood. My apologies. All of that is understood. Just 1 second, if you can hear me. Our guest in the studio here, Mr. Saka, has said something that, look, the PDP, went the way it has gone the way it's gone. The Labour Party has gone the way it's gone. Now you're on the same page with it. But then, looking at the frontliners today, many of them are from the Labour Party. A good number of them, some of them are from the Labour Party. A good number of them are from the People's Democratic Party. And a few of them are from the APC. Some of these have been described in some quarters as itinerant politicians. What's the assurance that if they couldn't fix the challenges they had in their own political party, they will be able to do anything significant in the APC?
No, you don't just call people itinerant politicians. I'm giving you an example. You see, there are people who, the Constitution allows everybody the freedom of association. And you cannot stay, just like even in a marriage that is conducted on the altar of God. If there are fundamental irreconcilable differences, you cannot stay in a marriage. And so a political participation or membership of a political party is not even a marriage.
Okay.
It's an interest.
Dr. Let's listen to this.
Those of us who have been members of other political parties.
There's another issue on that, if you can hear me. My apologies. There's another issue on that was raised by the governor of Katsina State yesterday.
I'm coming
Let's take a
on.
listen. Both of you gentlemen will be able to respond to it.
Can you hear me?
But this coalition that we are talking about in Nigeria, what is new to Nigerians about it? Who are these people into this coalition? Why are they not in another coalition before? What are they going to come and do different from what is happening in the country now? Can they promise Nigerians that they are going to they will bring the subsidy, fuel subsidy? Let them come out and tell Nigerians, those who want to contest for president under this coalition, let them come and tell Nigerians, are they going to bring subsidy back? And if they are going to bring subsidy back, let them tell Nigerians how they are going to run the government. And with what resources are they going to run the government? And with what resources are they going to pay to bring about the subsidy? Let's be realistic. Let's tell ourselves the truth. The time for deceiving Nigeria is over. Who was not in government last regimes? Who is not in government? We have seen, we know the track record of everyone. We know what they have done when they were in government. And they are now crying and shouting because they are outside of the government. Let's be realistic. If we are coming with something new to Nigerians, every Nigerian is going to embrace it. Because all of us are here to make Nigeria better and try to do it. Our problem is we, the politicians, and we must clean ourselves and be sincere to ourselves if we want to move the country forward.
Well, that's something for you to respond to very quickly, but I'd like Mr. Saka to take the first shot.
Yeah, for what Governor His Excellency Governor Katsina said, I about want to align with him. And if you look at the logo of the ADC, it's like a handshake. Rather than being, an alliance, a handshake representing, alliance across the Niger, unifying the country, it's two lepers and a lot of lepers and coming together to want to wrestle power because of their character, antecedents, and what have you. I'll now pick it one by one. If you want to look at Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who went against natural justice to seek the ticket, the contest for the presidential ticket of the PDP in 2023 elections. And when he did, he went against all, vice counsel to let Ayu step down.
It was not against the law and was
No, it was not. Well, no, you see, when it's convenient, they probably want to make the constitution of Nigeria supreme to everything. But as at 2010 into 2011 general elections, every PDP member was shouting Section 7C of the PDP constitution. You want to look at Malam Nasir El-Rufai, somebody that I know and who I've related with quite often. Malam Nasir El-Rufai said during the 8-year rule or tenure of former President Muhammadu Buhari that they cannot criticize their elders publicly. He was criminally silent about the ineptitude and misgovernance of former President Muhammadu Buhari. But just a year into the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he found his voice. You want to look at the Peter Obi that did so well in the 2023 general elections, but it's probably selective when he wants to talk and just speak vaguely to issues. I would rather like to trend or ride on public sentiment at the expense of national cohesion. Who else do you want to pick in that thing? You look at,
well, I'm sure you have quite a list, but I'm sure Dr. Adom would like to quickly respond to that. And Marfa is also standing by after his comments. Go ahead, Dr. Adom.
Yeah. You see, the truth of the matter is that Mr. Rada, who just spoke, the governor of Katsina State, was a member of the PDP. He was not originally a member of the APC. When people pontificate as if they have not been sinners before, everybody has been a sinner. Even if you take the 2015 coalition or merger of the APC and the CPC, General Buhari himself, who became the major beneficiary, and Tinubu, the two of them, Buhari started his political career in the APP in 2003, when he contested against OBJ. In 2007, the party transmitted
Oh dear, it does appear that we've lost Mr. Adom temporarily. I believe he'll be back shortly. But I think that, part of the bone of contention right now is the duality of membership. I mean, some of the dailies are reporting this morning that the PDP has given an ultimatum to some of its members that have pledged their loyalty to the ADC to resign or be kicked out. And then I think we also had an interview with Mr. Peter Obi over the weekend asking what exactly his membership status is. And, you know, he said he's still a member of the Labour Party as we speak, or at least as he was granting that interview, but also supported the ADC. So there have been questions as to what exactly is the format for members, you know, who are joining the ADC. Can people support the ADC who are out of the ADC, who are still in other political parties? I think that's what the question is, Mr. Adam, if you can hear me. I think that's where you have said you resigned your membership of the PDP and you are now fully a member of the ADC and expect to reap all of the benefits that, you know, accrue to you as such. However, there are questions as to those who are still in their political parties who are also saying they support the ADC. How is this working?
Look, let me just start by asking this question. Nyesom Wike is a member of the PDP and is working with the APC government and has publicly declared that he's going to support the APC president in the 2027 general election. How is he going to do that? You see, this is not a problem. Not everyone who is a member of a political party because he wants to contest an election. For those of us who want to contest an election, we have already resigned so that we don't have any problems, any legal impediments to contesting that election because you're required to be a member of one political party before you can contest election. But for those who generally just want to support the political party or to mobilize for the political party or to vote for the political party, they can be members of they can be members of the incumbent APC, still support the ADC, and still vote for the ADC. Just like Nyesom Wike is a member of the several of them. There are several of them who are members of the PDP who have said, okay, we are going to support President Tinubu in 2027. And still work for any other politicians. So there is no inhibition against a man like Peter Obi, who is a member of the Labour Party at the moment, which the 2027 general election is 2 years ahead. He may decide to resign tomorrow and register with the ADC. He will be entitled to all the privileges to contest election. So we haven't gotten to the bridge. When we get to the bridge, we'll cross it. And I want to reply again to the sentiments expressed by the governor of Katsina State, saying that the ADC should tell us what they're going to do now. See, officially, INEC has not opened the timetable for campaign. The ADC is not campaigning now. What the ADC is doing, we are calibrating our political structures. Those are internal arrangements for the political party called ADC. So we are not marketing the ADC manifesto to Nigeria yet. When INEC lifts the ban on politicking, then we hear from the ADC, and we to be loud and clear. We have every policy decision of this government, we have an alternative. And so they should not be, don't jump the gun, don't be in a hurry. We're not like them who have already started campaigning. Because if you go around Abuja, for instance, and many other states, you see that the president's posters are all over the place from Abuja City Gate to the airport. You can't find any streetlight pole that's standing without a picture of the president contesting for 2027. That is a breach of the INEC regulations and the Electoral Act. So when we get to the bridge, we will cross it. Every member of the ADC who is a member now fully registered is entitled to the privileges. Any member of another political party who's supporting the ADC has a right to do that, but they cannot contest elections under the ADC. That's just the only challenge they have. But whenever they make up their mind to join the ADC, they're welcome. And so they can stay anywhere and support. People can be in America and support ADC.
Well, let us see. Mr. Saka, I don't know if that answers the question for you. Does that question, I mean, does the answer satisfactorily answer whatever questions you have with people being in different parties and still supporting the ADC?
It doesn't, and it's rather unfortunate and unfair that people try to be clever by half, trying to think they can probably just, bamboozle Nigerians. Wike, your former governor, Nyesom Wike, is not working for the APC. Nyesom Wike is serving the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's under the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, not the APC. Let's be clear, let's put that in clear perspective. And Wike has never for once said is joining the APC, is supporting the APC. He said he's supporting his principal. Let's put out there.
Yeah, but I mean, how, is it possible to support the principal? Isn't that that's also being clever by how? Because how is it possible to support the principal without
to respond to because Wike is not in the PDP and saying he's believing or probably attending APC's meeting. Wike will tell you his interest is about PDP. He's fighting for justice, his claims within PDP. He's not interested in what happens in APC, who becomes the national chair of APC, who resigns, who is the interim chair. Wike is all about PDP. And his principal, who is the president. Wike is the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, not the chairman of Abuja chapter of the APC. Let's put that there. And secondly, opposition doesn't need a timetable to tell Nigerians what is wrong with this government. And opposition doesn't need a timetable to tell Nigerians what they will do differently. It's different from campaigning. It's about deepening our democratic conversation, our democratic cultures and values.
Sorry to interrupt you, but for those listening to the interview with Mr. Peter Obi, I think on Sunday, it's still on our website, he said he took the ruling party to, how will I put it now? I'm looking for the right words to use, but he had an objection, very strong objection to how they have led the people in terms of governance. Many disasters have occurred. He cited quite a few, and one of the strongest criticism he had against them is that they lacked compassion. And at the minimum, with regards to everything that has happened in this country, in different parts of the country, that, a government needs to show compassion. In that regard, would you say that the APC really, and the president too, hasn't quite exactly spoken the language, especially when you're asking Nigerians to make sacrifices? For a number of Nigerians, they say they're still not clear on what sacrifices the federal government is making, as is asking Nigerians to also tighten their belts.
Well, when Peter Obi said the government lacks compassion, you probably won't let him cite specifics. I probably didn't see anything in that interview. I took my time to watch it. I'm not here to criticize or probably critique that interview, but to me, that interview didn't speak to me. It didn't speak to any issues at hand. It was just one guy trying to ride on the emotions and sentiments of Nigerians. And when you say compassion, the government of the day, which I'm not a spokesperson or one of the spokespersons, have admitted that there's something wrong in the country. The National Security Advisor said the hardship that Nigerians are going through is probably even hampering the success of the efforts in combating terrorism and insecurity. That means they know. If they're not compassionate, they probably won't want to acknowledge such a thing. You see, when there was an instance in the interview, he said he was going to rule with the Constitution, abide by the Constitution. And I was expecting to cite instances where this present administration has run foul of the Constitution. He said none. He said he was going to diversify the economy of the country through agriculture. Agriculture, that word is vague. Agriculture, we have animal husbandry, we have cash crops, cultivation and what have you. He didn't tell us what he was going to do. He told us that Taraba State is 64,000 square kilometers, which was wrong. Taraba is 54,127 square kilometers. Then the question, are you going to use the whole of Taraba for cultivation? If you are speaking as an opposition leader, when I said you have to do more, you have to speak to facts, you have to tell us what is wrong and what you would do.
Well, anyway, there are so many other questions to ask this morning, Mr. Saka, but to be honest with you, our time is out. I really wish we could continue this conversation, but thank you so much for your time this morning, and we trust that at least some information, some elaboration has gone out.
Alice, we're giving us some expo to work with.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time this morning. Adeyemi Saka is a public affairs analyst, and as well as Dr. Adum Ter, who is a former Attorney General in Benue State, for joining us this morning. And that's the show today. Thank you for joining the program. I'm Ayo Makinde. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Well, on top of the hour, we'll be busy this morning. Thank you for watching. I'm Malfe. Goodbye.
Bienvenue sur Fiverr. La plateforme qui vous met en relation avec les freelances en France et à l'international. Les freelances français sur Fiverr sont notés 4,9 sur 5. Rejoignez-nous maintenant, Fiverr.
Le Bitcoin est-il devenu accessible? C'est ce que nous entendons depuis 2009. Alors, est-ce que nous y sommes déjà? Suivez les dernières mises à jour du trafic des cryptos fournies par eToro. De plus en plus d'acteurs institutionnels arrivent sur le marché. Depuis le feu vert de la SEC en janvier, les sociétés de gestion d'investissement ARK et BlackRock ont été parmi les premiers à émettre des ETF sur le Bitcoin, atteignant plus de 10 milliards de dollars et dépassant les ETF sur l'or. Alors, nous y sommes déjà? Que vous le croyez ou non, les cryptos sont devenus accessibles. Explorez et obtenez les dernières mises à jour sur le Bitcoin et plus de 100 crypto-monnaies sur eToro. Rejoignez-nous.
It's a new day to do business, 55 minutes of business, current and relevant business talk. That's what to do on Business Morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the program. I'm Amy John McCall. We start as usual from the global space, where oil prices edged low on Wednesday after rising to two-week highs in the previous session, weighed down by investors waiting for clarity on the new U.S. tariffs and expectations of rising crude inventories in the United States. So we see, looking at the numbers, Brent futures slipped 0.2%, $70. That's the price for this morning. WTI also went down 0.2% at $68.17 a barrel. U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariff delay provided some hope to major trade partners that include Japan, South Korea, and European Union, that deals to ease duties could still be reached while bewildering some smaller exporters such as South Africa, and leaving companies with no clarity on the path forward. Trump pushed Wednesday's previous deadline to August 1, a date he said was final, declaring no extensions will be granted. He also says that he would impose a 50% tariff on imported copper and soon introduce long-threatened levies on semiconductors and pharmaceuticals, broadening a trade war that has rattled markets worldwide. There's concern that the tariffs could curb demand for oil, and while there's strong travel demand during the U.S. July 4 holiday weekend, data from industry sources shows possible crude inventory builds in the U.S. of around 7.1 million barrels, though fuel product stocks were lower. OPEC Plus oil producers are set for another big output. We've been telling you about that from August. It's going to be 548,000 instead of 411.
Avec la plateforme de travail intuitif de Monday.com, vous avez le pouvoir. Pas les services informatiques ni les admins, c'est vous qui décidez comment vous aimez organiser votre travail. Gérer des tickets ou des projets, suivre les campagnes marketing ou la prospection commerciale, Monday.com, c'est la solution efficace pour gérer tout ce qui touche à votre travail. Exemple, vous pouvez ajouter des champs personnalisés, choisir ce que vous voulez voir, automatiser certaines tâches sans aide de l'équipe IT. C'est pour ça que plus de 245 000 clients adorent utiliser Monday.com. Monday.com, enfin une plateforme que vous allez adorer utiliser.
Tu as créé ta boîte qui s'appelle Legal Place. Et ce qui est assez fou, c'est que ça permet donc de créer sa société, ça vous accompagne, parce qu'on ne sait jamais trop par où commencer quand on monte sa boîte, c'est un peu un flou. Je dis, mais attends, il n'y a personne qui accompagne un gars qui veut créer sa boîte, une fille qui veut monter sa structure, qui veut monter ta boulangerie, bah, tu ne sais pas par où commencer pour monter une société. Et tu vas accompagner les gens là-dessus.
En fait, on voulait créer un truc qui permet de lancer une boîte comme si tu... En appuyant sur des boutons, en fait, tu vois. Comme si tu installais une app sur ton téléphone et tu remplis un formulaire et tu fais suivant, et ben ta boîte est créée. Ça devait être aussi simple que ça.
Toi, tu gères le côté compliqué.
Exactement. Et du coup, après beaucoup d'investissements, on a réussi à le faire. C'est qu'aujourd'hui, c'est vraiment aussi simple que ça. Et ça a tellement marché qu'un entrepreneur sur 10 en France aujourd'hui, quand il lance sa boîte, il la lance sur Legal Place. Après, quand on a fini ça, on a commencé à faire la partie comptabilité pour que ça soit aussi simple, parce que c'est tout l'administratif de la boîte, c'est la compta.
Tu crées la boîte et tu gères la compta.
Exact.
And then still around the oil sector, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery has reduced the price of petrol from, that's the ex-depot price, from 840 naira to 820 naira for a litre. The 20 naira reduction comes 1 week after refinery dropped the price of a fuel from 880 to 840. This indicates a 16 naira, that's a 6.82% cut in petrol prices by Dangote Refinery within a week. The spokesperson of the group, Mr. Anthony Chejina, says that the company reduced the price to make products more affordable for Nigerians. Meanwhile, there are reports that Dangote Industries Limited expects its 650,000 barrels per day refinery, as the largest single line in Africa, to rely entirely on Nigerian crude oil by the end of this year, 2025, potentially displacing hundreds of thousands of barrels of imported crude daily. According to Bloomberg, the refinery received about half of its crude in June from local producers who will be able to sell more to the facility as their foreign supply obligations end. We leave the oil and gas for a bit now. Global trade expanded by an estimated $300 billion in the first half of 2025, driven by rising services trade and marginal increases in goods prices. This is according to the latest global trade updates released by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD. The UN agency estimates that global trade rose by 1.5% in the first quarter of 2025 and is projected to grow by approximately 2% in the second quarter. However, UNCTAD warns that the outlook for the remaining parts of the year is increasingly uncertain due to mounting policy risks and escalating geopolitical tensions. Economic activities in Nigeria expanded for the 6th consecutive month in June as the country's Composite Purchasing Managers Index, as the PMI, went up 52.3 last month. This is according to a report released by the Central Bank. All three major sectors, agriculture, industry, and services, recorded the highest expansion in economic activity during the review period, largely because of increased production and farming activity. However, the CBN's June PMI report suggests that while economic activity continues to grow, the widening gap between input and output prices, especially in key sectors like agriculture, could lead to price adjustments by firms if cost absorption becomes unsustainable. Now let's look at the power sector. Power distribution companies, DISCOs, generated 199.85 billion naira in revenue in April, and this, according to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, is the latest figure. In its DISCO's commercial performance fact sheet for the month under review, the NERC announced that revenue evaluation says that the figure represents a 5.81% increase from 188.89 billion naira revenue collected in March. The power sector regulator says that April revenue reflects a collection efficiency of 77.59%, and that's up from 71.07% in March, while the total energy received by DISCOs was 9.16% lower than the previous month of 2,622.46 gigawatts in April. And we're going to stay on that for a bit, talking about the electricity sector. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, that's the NERC, has said that electricity distribution companies installed a total of 187,194 meters in the first quarter of 2025. According to the report, the figure marks a marginal increase of 0.41% compared to 186,431 meters installed in the fourth quarter of 2024. But there are still complaints of metering, lack of it in many parts of the country. Especially at this time, there are stories of expired meters without avenue for replacement. That unfortunately is a story that is making the round at this time. And so let's have this conversation with Engineer Agoro, joins us virtually from Lagos. Good morning, Engineer. Thank you for joining the program.
Good morning.
So we hear revenue has increased for these schools, and we want to connect that to meters. And we know that the federal government has upped its efforts to spread meters around the country, and yet it does seem like we still have a lot of complaints about access to meters in most parts of the country. You are a meter manufacturer based in Lagos. What's the situation from your perspective?
Wix, une plateforme pour n'importe quel site. Une création sans limite. Décrivez vos besoins et vos objectifs. L'IA transformera votre projet en un site unique et prêt en quelques minutes. Personnalisez-le. Créez l'expérience de vos visiteurs dans les moindres détails. Suivez, analysez et gérez toute l'activité de votre site web depuis la même interface. Personnalisé, sur mesure, Wix.
Stop taking meeting notes and let ClickUp AI Note Taker do it for you. It allows you to focus on your meetings, not your notes. It captures everything, from action items to key decisions. And after every call, you get a clear summary. But where it really goes to the next level is that it's the only AI note taker that connects your meetings to the rest of your work. So stop stressing about taking notes and get the AI note taker that works for you. Get ClickUp AI Note Taker for your next meeting.
Thank you. From my perspective, Vita as a manufacturer, we have over 38 members, manufacturer in Nigeria, local manufacturer in Nigeria today. The challenge is not in the production of meter, and up to now, we have a meter asset program from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. I can tell you this is the only thing that the manufacturer are doing at the moment, because the other good initiative of the federal government, they are having one kind of bottleneck or the other. As you are aware, 1.2 million meter was awarded over a year ago. Up to today, according to the record from the ministry, it's about 70-something that have been delivered. They have over 200,000 that is still lying there in the pot. And you see that the new initiative by the federal government, again, of about 1.6 billion, has not been concluded. We have another one of about 250,000 that was supposed to be for the local manufacturer too. It has not yet been concluded at the moment. So all these initiatives that customers are waiting for free meter, so that makes them to even try to reduce their acceptance of the meter access program. I can tell you through the effort of Nigerian Electricity Commission, they make the MAP program very easy, and a lot of people, capital investments have been brought into this. So there is meter. I can tell you everywhere there is meter, but the availability by the customer, because they are waiting for the free meter, that is what is delaying the progress on the MAP process.
I'd like to differ, about, because I know some individuals firsthand who are ready to pay for this meter. They are not waiting for free meters, and they are under Ikeja Disco. So when you talk about people waiting for free meter, I beg to differ with that observation, because I have had interaction with individuals who are not waiting for the free meter. And I also want you to help me understand where meters are expired. So people have old meters, they can no longer use it. They say it's expired. Could you explain to us what's going on there?
No, the issue, there has been a long of time, more than a year ago now, we've been talking about the token. Is that it's like there are some meters that are old meters that are not the STS2 compliance. So there's a rollover because we are using STS in Nigeria today. Most of the meters must be STS compliant. Based on by November this year, some of those meters will need to be either be upgraded. As long as they are standard meter, they are DLMS protocol meter, the only thing that needs to be done is just to run a token on the meter. Unless the meter that the customer has, they are not STS compliance meter, that is when they have to be changed. And that is the responsibility of the DISCO. It's the DISCOs that have to change the meter. It's not, according to Nigeria Electricity Commission, it's not the customer that should pay for this meter.
Yeah, but since we're in Nigeria, there are customers who are ready to pay, and they are told that there's no meter. Now, you are a meter manufacturer, and you said that there are meters. So where is the missing link in all of this?
Now, the truth of the issue is that this is open for public to see. There are meters. Yeah, I know if you count the manufacturer in Nigeria today, by the time you can visit their stock, I can tell you confidently, in our own factory now, we have a stock of over 40,000 meters there. And we are a map in most of the DISCOs around, we are a map in Ibadan, in Abuja, and in Benin. So I cannot speak for EcoDisco, but I know we have a lot of people for Ikeja Disco, but I know we have a lot of maps that I know, like a map like NBH, a map like Bojet. I know they have stocks of meter. So when somebody says there is no meter, I beg to disagree with that. There are meters.
Okay, so since this individual said they went to Ikeja Disco and they were told that there are no meters available, what could be happening? Can these individuals come to you as MAP directly to get it? Because a lot of people do not know that there's a MAP, there's an in-between agents between the consumer and the discos. All they know is to go to the discos and apply for meters.
The truth of the issue is that Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission make this thing very transparent and very open. Every month, all the MAP bid for meter on a competitive nature, and DISCOs are made to publish those bidding every month. As of today, we have a bid that is concurrent until August of first week in August. So I know under Ikeja, maybe the customer just need to visit their website. You will find a list of MAP that are operating in Ikeja at the moment, and based on that, the customer will be able to see the prices, because the Nigerians will make sure that all the MAP DISCO publish the prices for some of these meters. So that's why I'm 100% certain that there are meters. Because if you don't have a stock of meter, you will never be allowed to bid or talk less of publishing the prices.
Vibe code any tool for your business today with DataButton.
With DataButton's AI, you can build any business tool you need. Sales and CRM apps, marketing dashboards, project management tools, anything you can imagine. To learn more, join thousands of other businesses, head over to databutton.com.
Experience professional options trading with Interactive Brokers, rated best for advanced options traders by Investopedia. The best informed investors choose Interactive Brokers. Open your account today at ibkr.ie/options.
All right, well, I guess, for our viewers, if you're affected, meter asset provider here is saying, please go back to the website and check for the maps that are available and that there are meters. And so Ikeja Disco should not tell their customers that there are no meters and they have to be stranded and waiting because they say they have a meter that's expired. But let's broaden that conversation now, Engineer Agoro. We know that the federal government also has a program that is supposed to drive the spread of meters How does that work? Who can be a part of it? How is it going at this time?
Well, the truth is that the federal government program is a very laudable program, but the challenge we have now in the country is that we are trying to put a new wine in an old wine skin. The major challenge to that deployment, because we recently have a program called MAP that we are supposed to deploy, you find out that the data is a major problem in the nesting. Government needs to invest in a clean data. Data for the nesting cannot be left alone for the DISCO, because this is the cash cow of the entire nesting. So now, with the latest electricity acts, with the new set of states now being given ability to be able to manage it, every state should do whatever they have to do to have a data of the particular electricity user in their state. With that, that is when any federal government initiative on meter deployment can be effective. As of today, nobody can effectively say that, oh, these are the real number, these are the authentic data in our DISCO, and this is the people that have been metered, and immediately the people are metered, they can be upgraded immediately. Technology can help to solve this problem. You know, unless this is solved, there is no initiative that the government is doing that we can do an effective metering in Nigeria today. So that is what is actually preventing. Government has a lot of plans. PMI today, they have over 700 billion naira that has been allocated for meters. There are loans for the first phase of the World Bank, the second phase of the local, but all these initiatives can never be achieved without an effective data. So government needs to invest and help the DISCO to be able to solve this problem of data. Because what we're hearing is that government has spent money before on enumeration, but those are in the hold. Now, those enumerations are not, people need to know the actual data that we have of the customers, and government needs to have this data in their fingertip, not what the DISCOs are telling them.
So you think that the NERC should delve into this issue of gathering data so at least we can have a foundation for the planning and the policies that the federal government is sharing with stakeholders?
Yes, you know, the challenge the NERC has before is that because most DISCOs have said that they have invested money on the enumeration. So now it's difficult now for anybody to be saying now that we don't have the data. But the truth that everybody knows in the NERC is that those data are not authentic. It is necessary that the government has to take this initiative and make sure that enumeration of from each state. If today, if we ask how many number of customers do we have in your state, for instance, how many of them are meter? But it is all on guesswork. Because when you use that data to do a meter rollout program, you are going to have a problem. So it's good that the government, for the effectiveness of their program and their plan, they need to invest in technology to be able to help in gathering this data, so that they will use that to do the meter deployment. Of the truth, government has allowed a lot of money for meter deployment, but this cannot be achieved if the data is not clear.
Engineer, but what about states? Because we know that, you know, there's a new law that empowers states to do more in the area of electricity. Can't we also bring the subnationals in gathering this data, for instance, and making metering more effective?
Yes, you know, when you look at the NERC, the only unfortunate thing is that unfortunately, it's the DISCOs that collect money for the NERC. And this is the most important part of NERC. So every state that want to make progress must have a data of it's a thing that the states can do. But this data should not be only the responsibility of the DISCO, because this is a thing that is affecting the entire NERC. So any state that really wants to have information on their electricity, on the load demand in their area, must have data. So the first thing they must do, where they can work upon, is to build effective data of the customer, of the energy demand, and everything in their state. So states can do this. I think it's a responsibility that the states can really keying into. Any state that has this data, the rest is not a problem again. Then when people have the data, the initiative of the government can be effectively utilized, then the private people can come into and be able to close the metering gap.
All right, Engineer Agoro, thank you so much. Managing Director of Prodigy Global Services Limited, Engineer Ademola Agoro, thank you for your time and perspective this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're still staying with energy, electricity. I wonder if you saw the news a couple of days ago, how gas flaring has hit a 4-year high and Nigeria is losing billions of naira from that. We'll have that conversation and how that can be connected to the electricity that we all look for in this country. It's still here on Business Morning, but that's after the break. Please stay with us.
Parfois, il arrive que le travail devienne trop compliqué. Sauf si vous utilisez Monday.com, la plateforme de gestion du travail qui donne une vision complète du travail de votre équipe sur un seul écran. Sur Monday, toutes vos communications sont regroupées sur un même espace, si bien que tout est visible en un coup d'œil. Et lorsque tout est synchronisé, rien ne peut vous résister. Rendez-vous sur Monday.com et commencez votre essai gratuit.
Stop second-guessing your writing. Trust your writing every time with Quillbot Premium. Upgrade today.
Welcome back. It's the Business Morning here on Channels Television, and we're discussing electricity now. A recent report shows that gas flaring in Nigeria hit a 4-year high as factories starve for energy. On the other hand, despite federal government's efforts to curb the menace of gas flaring, Nigeria lost 15,400 gigawatts per hour of power generation potential in 5 months between January and May this year. And yet, we are looking for electricity. What a contradiction there. But let's try to see if there's something that can or should have been done about this with the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Enerplus Energy Solutions Limited. Yusuf Abubakar joins us from our Abuja studio. Hi, Yusuf. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Ini. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, so we've been talking about gas flaring, and in spite of all of this, Nigeria just this year, January to May, is said to have lost 15,400 gigawatts. And yet, when you talk to manufacturers, electricity is still a major problem, a deterrent to manufacturing and production. I wonder what we're missing in all of this. We have the potentials, turning it into what we need seems to be another kettle of fish.
Yeah, thank you, Ini. With the gas flaring at the moment, with Nigeria at the moment, we have over 300 million SCOF per day of gas waste. And if you look at it, these are opportunities we could key in our value chain to make sure our energy generation is upskilled and also have alternative energy mix, which is part of the policy the present administration has been pushing as well. So presently, we have 200 trillion natural proven gas at the moment in Nigeria, 200 trillion. And if we now work towards the value chain within the gas, there are certain areas we need to scale on. So from our gas network to, the processing to the generation. So those are value chain we need to work on. Now, I would also give credit to administration, past administration and present administration that's been working on, the Escravos Lagos network, the AKK network, and the EB3 network as well. But there's more to be achieved within this space. So looking at how we can, the other speaker was also talking about having data centers where we can have gas meters. So I would briefly talk about how we can also enhance our database, which can help improve our gas structure. And this is also a numbers game. It involves a lot of investments. It involves a lot of stakeholder, government, private sector, and the entire Nigerian masses to come so we can have a synchronized system that we know how much gas we can distribute for energy, and also converting those gas into CNG, LPG, and also generation. But we've gone back and forth in terms of generation, distribution, and I feel there comes a time where we need to look at the decentralized energy within the gas sphere. Nigeria is blessed with gas. I see no reason why we shouldn't have more interest in this gas for us to meet at least our energy demand, even within states. Now, most states have resources and network where we can leverage on for our gas. And with the policy, the 2023 policy, where states has the autonomy to generate gas, we can also work with government institution like Niger Delta Power Holding Company, which I see that they are very effective when it comes to power plants, turbines, and they can work with states. Now, these are areas where we can also bring in the private sector. So we have...
Go ahead. I can hear you. Please go ahead.
All right. So we have enormous natural resources that we can explore within our gas, which is untapped at the moment. I mean, let's just also focus on industrial clusters where we can focus on agricultural production, urea. The value chain is so vast that I feel we've not really sat down within the private sector. And there are a couple of people doing it, but we need more hands. We need more FDIs to come in, to also stabilize the market. We need tax waivers for infrastructure to come in. We cannot say we want to develop an industry where we can import machineries that could make this industry very viable and accessible for the general masses. So these are the points that I've seen so far, and based on the vast, if you look at crude gas is a byproduct of crude, and looking at that value chain, there's a lot that we can explore within that value chain, whether it's agriculture, whether it's energy, manufacturing, production. We need all that. We want to focus on exporting products. We need our gas to be very viable. We need to stop the flaring. We flare 300 million per day. This is something that can be cut down, So I feel moving on, there are a lot of value chain within the gas sector, from smart meters to industrialization within that sector, to agricultural endorsements for energy, for manufacturing, and for production. So I think it's very important we explore, and also it also helps with the environment. Flaring is bad to the environment, it doesn't help us, and we have this waste that is going consistently in most of the refineries around the country. So I think with the pre-existing network that we have at the moment in terms of the gas lines across the country, we can leverage on that in building small clusters of industries, small clusters of estates that would have energy. And with that, I see the sky just being the beginning of how Nigeria can be industrially viable.
All right, so Yusuf, and I'm glad you mentioned some incentives that could drive more private sector players to the scene. But what I'm wondering, why does it seem so difficult? A lot of people have said Nigeria should even be called a gas-rich country more than, you know, an oil-rich country. But we seem to be missing out on that. We've seen crude being used, crude being explored, and then we see this waste that's been going on for years. And we can have electricity. It's a form of business. If the private sector would get engaged, and as you said, maybe build a cluster around there, the electricity we so look for in this country, desperately look for, would be solved. So why do you think it seems so difficult to turn these ideas and these talks to actual reality?
I don't think it's difficult at all. I think we need better.
En tartine, à l'apéro, froid, chaud, seul ou accompagné. Le camembert président se partage à la table de tous les gourmands. Camembert président, le plaisir c'est important.
Chez Poltron et Sofa, la collection Super Affaires est remisée de 65%. Treviglio avec mouvement relaxé électrique à 1029 €. Sant'Arcangelo en cuir à 779 €. Dernier jour lundi.
Poltrone Sofa, 30 anni di qualità. E voilà.
Ways of doing things in Nigeria, access to not just finances, but also access to the structure that would make this gas more effective for people to use, like the commercialization of the gas, which I feel like it's also one of the key areas for you to drive foreign investors. Around the world, gas is a very high commodity on demand. So if you also look at how we can, you know, focus on key areas, basically, key areas like enforcing the flaring of commercialization of the gas is very important. You know, if we can enforce this flaring that's wasting, that's also degrading the environment, it's one area that we can look into, that investors from all around the world can come in and say, okay, you know what, Nigeria, these policies are there, you know. Also the ease of doing business in Nigeria, you know, making sure that when investors come in, it's easy for them to be onboarded. It's easy for them to have access to certain areas in the gas sector, which I think not just, you know, even local manufacturers, you know, research and development. How can we partner with universities across Nigeria to also develop within their own local content of gas? So I feel these are policies that we can really focus on, and these are issues we can look within our scope as Nigerians, as people who want to make sure that we are looking at exporting our product, we are looking at industrialization. So policies are very important, as much as enforcing those policies are very important, as much as communicating that these policies are available. This is how you can get to access this policy. You know, most times I think communication is one of the biggest problem we have, you know, when it comes to access to certain resources within the government space. Also give the private sector free hands, give new companies free hands. Tax waivers are very important. Give us tax waivers between 5 to 10 years. Let's between 5 to 10 years, that's half a decade to a decade. Let the industry mature to a point whereby, you know, there's investors' confidence to say, okay, you know what, Nigerian gas sector is actually moving towards great, for lack of a better word, skill. So I feel, you know, we need more engagement between the private and the public sector, which is the government. We need more communication. We need to see how we can allow small businesses to also come in within that space and explore those spaces and see what we can do. From industrial, from agricultural, these are areas we have AKK pipeline already, the Escravos Lagos also. These are networks that can be connected through either decentralized system of micro and mini grids in that gas sector. We need processing plants where we can separate hydrogen sulfides, water from the byproduct of the crude, to get our gas. And these are value chain that investors would like to see, to say, okay, what, we feel comfortable. You don't have to do the whole gas. You could just get the value chain focus, and then the next guy gets the other value chain. And we need to be more collaborative. Collaboration is very, very, very important when it comes to industrialization, whether you're doing it in private, whether you're doing it in the public sector. I think that is one thing we should look at. Being Nigeria is one of the biggest oil producing nation around the world. At least we are ranked amongst the top 10. And we have over 200 trillion proven gas reserve at the moment. These are areas we can actually explore and make sure that we achieve, at least, even if we can look towards between now and 2030, 30,000 megawatts.
So Yusuf, when you paint this picture, of the value chain, of course we also have the states there who can do something. How do you think this process can be, let's just kickstart it? Could the states perhaps jump in and make something happen, even if it's from a smaller scale, and get more private sector investors interested?
Yeah, I think the state, if we look at the 2023 bill that was passed, where state has autonomy to generate its own power, the state could create its own IP with also the federal government collaboration. I also mentioned Niger's Delta Power Holding Company, which is one of those they could work with, and a lot of other parastatals that I probably would not have in my head right now. And power is demand and supply. Many states already have pre-existing net gas pipeline network moving around that state. Bring private sector engagement, talk to companies that have FDI access to come in, do collaboration within the states, allow private sector to run this. States monitor as regulatory body and also as an investor. I feel within even looking at just the value chain of agriculture, bringing in, looking at urea, I think it's not just even gas as a manufacturing, it's making Nigeria a powerhouse where a state can now be exporting from its own domain. So imagine states like Katsina, Niger, and other states who may even have dry ports. These are ways to generate IGI within your states. Also, power security, because we've said this time without number. Power is national security. If we really want to move forward, we need to look for new ways of doing things. We need to also explore pre-existing infrastructure and resources we have just lying idle that are not working. Let's get engagement within the states. There are investors that are willing, if the states can also grant those investors sovereign guarantee through the Ministry of Finance. These are things that would actually drive investment, for lack of a better word, confidence for any investor outside of Nigeria to say, okay, we're bringing this much money to come and invest in energy. It will create employment, it will create security, and it will create development and growth. So the policies are already there. We just need to be very deliberate. We need team and experts that can come in. We need stakeholder engagement. And to be honest, there are infrastructures that are lying idle that we can reenact back, that have not done well in years. So I feel there are states that are deliberately actually generating their own energy. Take Lagos State, for instance. They generate their own energy. So I see no reason why other states can't do that. At the end of the day, it's the supply demand there's also the value chain within the energy space. So the generator, the process. So there's a lot of value chain within that space that we may not be able to talk all online today. But if you look at what we have on gas, and I think gas can actually solve at least one of the energy crisis we've been facing if we have the mix, you know, and also it helps with the turbines as well. We need gas to run most of our turbines. So we need these things to work.
Yeah,
and
so-
they have to work in a collaborative manner.
So
and
you
I
should-
think if the states are willing and saying, you know, we're ready, I am very sure we would have investors that would troop in sincerely to make this happen.
So Yusuf, when you see a story such as this, we see that oil and gas companies in Nigeria, including Nigerian Petroleum Development Company Shell, Chevron, paid 602.22 billion naira as penalty for gas flaring. I'm thinking, is there a way we can turn this penalty into incentive, into funding, you know, of actually using this gas flaring for electricity?
Vous allez devoir cuisiner en étant attachés l'un à l'autre. C'est le grand remix. T'as un ingrédient secret que tu donnes à personne.
Ah ouais, mais je dois pas le donner.
La prochaine fois, quand tu veux faire la cuisine, essaie d'un même parce que ça m'a l'air super là. Hein. C'est la vraie.
C'est ça.
Comme on fait au Japon.
Exactement identique.
On est pas mal, vas-y.
Sur la tartelette, imitation sauce caramel. On se fait un petit.
Allez, on
Saint-Germain.
y va.
J'adore ça. Qui a inventé le Saint-Germain? Cyril Lignac. Petit cadeau. Et un petit dernier vin. C'est super ça.
Gourmand croquant.
Eh ben, belle la vie.
So we have the NGFCP, which is enforced gas flaring for generation. So if we can enforce the gas flaring program, which has been enacted, I feel these companies you just mentioned too are pretty much interested in energy. I'm very much sure about that, right? And which brings me back to a point whereby we need to be very deliberate and be very concise in what we're trying to achieve.